This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
What's up, everyone? Sara Dietschy, Rhymes with Peachy here. We have Joel. What's up?
What's up? Hey.
You brought something with you today.
I did, absolutely. We brought a 3D printer.
This is the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon 3D printer with their AMS. It allows users to print multiple colors and materials. It also keeps filaments dry and detects and recovers from faults like tangled filament. The X1 Carbon has active vibration compensation to ensure smooth prints and prints fast.
So I am in an intense nesting phase of life right now, and I just feel like everything needs to get organized. I've been disorganized for like the past 10 years. So a lot of my camera gear is crammed into this Husky tool chest, and it could really use some help. So naturally, it's time to learn a new hobby, 3D printing. Here I come.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone has seen the videos online of the crazy desk organization, and I'm inspired, to say the least.
Yeah?
But I think I can take baby steps and say, hey, I have some Sony batteries that need little slots. Let's build a little battery tray,
That's
right?
a great way to start.
Already over on his channel, we did my first 3D print. You guys can check that out if you want to see what it is. It's already a little piece of filmmaking gear for this video. I'm going to take my own time and kind of figure out how to do this on my own. So I'm scared. And so I have questions for you.
No, I'm glad I'm here to help with those questions.
Yes, we've already printed one thing, but I want to do something on my own. Can I go into the Bamboo app and pick a design and just hit print?
Yeah.
I want to do it on my own.
You know, one of the things that people print when they first get their 3D printer, it's called a 3D Dietschy. It's a little boat, but people use that as a benchmark for whether or not their printer is put together well.
So do I just hit prepare to print?
That's what's cool. So within the app, because it's connected to your account and this printer, you can hit prepare to print.
Okay. Oh.
So your printer model is the X1 Carbon, which it has picked. And these are the different print profiles. But if you scroll and look at the next one,
Oh my God, look at the tiny one.
It's super duper tiny.
Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so which one should we pick?
Well, I think for us, the best one is probably going to be that one right there.
Okay.
And it's telling you it wants it in PLA material.
Does it have to be PLA, or if I use that material, would it just not go, or would something happen? Would it blow up?
That's a really good question, and it's not going to catch on fire, blow up, anything like that. These settings for materials are essentially a temperature setting.
Okay.
It's almost like an oven, right?
makes sense.
If the cake is set for 350 and you were like, well, I'm going to cook it at 425, something different will happen. Things are going to explode.
You could do it,
but
something might happen.
yeah.
Here we go. I'm just gonna force it
Do it.
into the hole here. All right. Ooh! That is so satisfying. All right, moment of truth. I'm gonna hit print.
Oh, you hear it? As we're talking, it's already 18%.
While printing, you definitely always want to keep this closed, I'm guessing? Or
Not necessarily.
Are you, okay, can you like open it and peek in? That's fine. It doesn't
You can
mess up the heat.
absolutely open it. That's actually a really, really good question. It depends on the material. In fact, some PLA materials perform better with the door open. Oh, and it's actually printing
it's
right
going,
now.
it's going.
So if you
Oh
look
my
on your
gosh.
phone, you get a different angle from where that.
Oh, it's like on there.
Kind of roll it off. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
That's it.
Wow. Wow.
That's
this
your
is-
first print.
Oh my gosh. So this is the equivalent of when you start programming and you hit print F hello world. This is what this is.
This is the hello world of 3D
Yeah.
printing.
Okay, so before you leave, obviously I have a little bit of my own homework to do.
Absolutely.
But say I want to make, you know, a tray like this with the custom inserts for maybe some batteries. Where do I go first? Like obviously I'm going to have to do some measuring, but where would you build that? I know there's different apps and websites.
A really great resource is a website called Tinkercad. There's also Onshape and Fusion 360, which are CAD programs.
So I've dabbled in Blender a little bit.
Yeah.
So some of these apps will probably be similar then.
Absolutely.
So what's some advice you would have for me?
The best advice I could really give you is don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid of the machine itself. Experiment and have fun and try different things.
My gosh, I'm inspired. Okay, so we'll see how far I get by the end of this video, but Joel, thank you so much. And guys, make sure to check out the video that we made on his channel.
Absolutely.
Wish me luck.
Hey, good luck.
Thank you. I'm scared. Just a little bit.
not gonna lie, 3D printing feels very intimidating. But like all new things that I get into, I start with watching a lot of YouTube videos. I'll watch Joel's videos and then I tweet some. I watch other channels and then I tweet some more, learn some more. And ultimately I end up on Zach Friedman's channel. If you know about 3D printing, you know about Zach. And at this point, I've already learned about so many 3D printing organizational systems, but apparently Zach's Gridfinity, well, is the one to rule them all. Gridfinity is free, open source, stackable, rearrangeable, customizable, and has gotten so popular the past couple of years that it even has its own section on the 3D printing website, thangs.com. It seems like the entire 3D printing community now contributes to this, and there are just so many designs to choose from. Gridfinity is based on a 42 by 42 millimeter grid that you 3D print, and then you take 3D printed organizational accessories and they snugly fit on top of that 42 by 42 millimeter grid. So Gridfinity definitely seems like the best system, and that's what I'm gonna go with to organize my Husky drawers.
Okay, so I have been watching a lot, and I mean a lot, of 3D printing videos. And I think one of the biggest things that I need to keep in mind is just because you can 3D print something doesn't mean you have to. As I was going through all of the Gridfinity options, I was like, oh my God, I need to do all of this. But let me show you a drawer that I'm actually going to just keep the same. Okay, so this is where I keep a lot of my cameras and lenses. It surprisingly fits a ton of stuff in kind of this one tiny drawer. Now, initially I was like, oh my gosh, I have to put like slots for, you know, each of the cameras. But what goes in this drawer changes so much depending on what I have in camera bags, what I have set up and I'm actually shooting with, right? So if I totally gridded this out, that would not be using space wisely. So even though I eventually want to make a custom battery tray where you can actually slot in, you know, AA batteries and the Sony batteries, the fact that they're already somewhat organized doesn't make this actually my first priority. My first priority is this mess of a drawer. My ND filters and the random extra tape and maybe some cables, but really it's these ND filters. And so what I was thinking is using Zach Friedman's like plier holder actually, but I think that is still too tall.
Now, you can customize the height and other parameters of Gridfinity. That's what makes it so cool. However, you have to make sure that you download the Fusion archive file, not the STL, not the object file. I think this is super obvious to the smart 3D people, but for us normies out there, I kept downloading the STL file, going crazy, trying to figure out how to change the parameters. Just make sure you click here and not here and download Fusion Archive. Import it into Fusion 360 and then you can go to modify and then change parameters and adjust all the things. After making the nipper plier holder wide enough for an ND filter, I realized that the height would have to be lowered so much that it wouldn't actually do a good job supporting the filter, and it really wasn't the most efficient way to organize my filters since I want them to all be grouped depending on what size they are.
So this is in a very skinny drawer, but I can stack 3 filters. Yeah, I can stack let's see if we can do 4. Oh, I can actually stack, okay, 3 to 4 filters at a time.
So I'm going to go with a much more simple and less exciting solution. I'm just gonna make some good old Gridfinity bins.
Okay, this is pretty cool for my computer. I'm watching my 3D printer start in the office, which is in the other room. This will take about 3 hours. Okay, it's the morning. It took about 3 hours and oh my gosh, here is my first official 3D print that I guess you could say is custom, but you know, I basically had to learn Fusion 360 and the Gridfinity system to actually understand what's happening here, so let's take it off. Whoa! Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna actually be a little bit more stuck than that. This looks good. Oh, this is clean. I love the translucent orange, aka translucent peach. Seems sturdy enough. And then we got the Gridfinity system on the bottom. Wow. This is so exciting. I'm like really stoked right now. I made something from nothing, aka someone else made something from nothing and I just figured out how to press a few buttons to make it my own.
So I eventually found this gridfinity generator plugin for Fusion 360. This is immensely helpful for making custom bins and base plates to the exact sizes that you need. I'll make sure to link all of these links in the description below. Because Gridfinity is open source, there are seriously so many different models that you can download from things.com and just instantly print. But I found that these simple bins are the most useful for my ND filter solution. And so being able to just, customize their size helps a ton. So let's get printing.
So I have been doing so much printing, as you can tell. The printer has been going day and night. We are in it. There's no going back. But I've reached a point where I printed out all of the easy stuff and I'm left with a bigger problem that's gonna require more Fusion 360 skills. I switched to the glow-in-the-dark peach filament halfway because I was running out of this beautiful translucent orange. You're not gonna see this, so that doesn't matter that much. Okay, you know what? Let me tell you my problem. And this is gonna be something that probably 99% of you guys would have been fine with, but I'm not. Okay, so I'm gonna lay out the grid for you guys, right? Okay, this is the beautiful grid. This black space here, let's turn it. This black space here is destroying my life. As you can tell, it's just a little bit shorter than the standard 42 by 42 millimeter Gridfinity square, so I couldn't do an extra square here, but no part of me can allow this. Have a whole beautiful grid system finity this way, but then just this gap. What am I gonna do with this gap? The point of stuff like this is for it to be customized and to your perfect liking, right? So essentially what I need to do is slice this and bring it out 35 millimeters, right? 35 is shorter than 42. That's why I can't just add an additional square. I can't do that in that plugin. This is where I'm actually gonna have to properly learn some Fusion because I essentially want it coming up right up to the edge. Because you're not gonna see the grid. The entire grid is gonna be completely full with bins, okay? That's another pet peeve of mine. People will customize their drawers and stuff with Gridfinity, but then you still see the grid. I don't like that. Why do you do that? It should be completely covered. Okay, so I'm at the point where I feel like if my printer isn't running, I am wasting time. So as I take a few days to futz around with Fusion 360 and really figure this out, I want to do a more simple 3D print of my computer organizational desk tower thing. I know words. Okay, still so much to do. How? Just a quick break from our sponsor, Squarespace. This is my new Squarespace website that I redesigned this past year. It's just so beautiful. I love it so much. But I want to share one cool feature that I did. You see, this my latest video, and it scrolls and it has a little flower power behind it. This is John and Baby. He uses the standing desk to walk with Baby. You guys are looking good.
Thank you so much.
I didn't think about the background before, but you guys are looking good.
Thank you.
Look at that. Dad mode. When I first used Squarespace to show off my creative portfolio, gosh, 6-7 years ago, I used one of their beautiful templates. It was so plug and play, and they still have those templates to this day, and well, they have many more, and it makes it so easy to build a website. But nowadays, they have this cool thing called Fluid Engine. You can go the template route or Fluid Engine, where you can really drag and drop whatever you want on your website. So if you have more idea about the design that you want it, well, you can fully customize it. And I'm so proud of this little thing that I did. It took me all night when little baby Peach was actually sleeping. She's doing so great. So this YouTube video is like a normal Squarespace block where you basically copy and paste a YouTube video link. But I was like, I'm not gonna go to my website every time that I drop a new video and change this. Well, I actually inputted custom code where it auto updates. So every time I upload a YouTube video, it'll just auto-populate in my website, which is just so cool. I love getting in the weeds with this stuff now. This is my fun. But I mention that just to say your Squarespace website can really be whatever you want, but you don't have to know how to code. Everything can be designed first, and if you want to get in the weeds and add custom code, you can, so they don't limit you either. But there's just so much flexibility, and they have so many amazing new products. Like now you can host your own online courses on the website. Not only can you sell your own merch, there's so many amazing, great third-party plugins that you can plug in right into your website, and it just makes it so easy and so fun. And y'all, I am just digging my Squarespace website recently. Sorry, Squarespace, if I'm taking this time to just promote my own website, but isn't it beautiful? I had the help of a designer, Rudra, shout out to Rudra, who helped me with this, but I'm having a blast kind of going in and tweaking little things now that I'm setting aside some time for fun. So if you want to check out Squarespace for a free trial, go to squarespace.com, and if you want to start today, go to squarespace.com/Sara Dietschy for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. Good job, babe.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, back to 3D printing. This video is a behemoth. I've already started editing it, and I'm so tired, guys. Okay. The easier project is organizing all of my SSDs in this drawer, which I think is going to be way easier than the ND filter problem.
Joel did this really cool video about an online 3D tool called Bento Box. So you can use it to make really simple organizational boxes that you can download the STL file and then just instantly print. All you need are the dimensions, and if you want to add sections, you just press these plus buttons. You don't get the level of customization you can get with something like Gridfinity, or of course doing it yourself in Fusion 360, but this is perfect for just a quick solution for the simple organization that I need for my desk drawers.
3D printing has ruined my life. I don't know what day it is. I am malnourished. I mean, part of that is because, you know, taking care of a newborn and learning a new hobby at the same time. I'm being dramatic. This has actually been very fun. I wake up, I have some coffee, I play with baby girl, and I figure out what am I gonna 3D print today. I think right now I've just reached the point of fatigue. It's been a little over a week since Joel and David visited and blessed me with this beautiful printer. As you've seen, I've been doing a lot of printing. It's been a lot of gridfinity, but I'm reaching the point where I'm 70% done. And a lot of the frustration, as I understand with 3D printing, is maybe you have a cheaper printer and you have to do a lot of fixing. I have not had to deal with that at all. The printer has actually been great, aside from some filament kind of like clogging around the nozzle, but that's easy to fix. The biggest problem I've run into is user error. I blame fully myself. First of all, these prints are taking anywhere from like 2 hours to sometimes 6 or 7 hours. And my printer is actually pretty quick. And even though I'm having like such a blast doing, you know, customized organization, I love it. I can make the boxes the size I need. The amount of time it's taking is actually kind of getting to me, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna do like 4 drawers in the Husky, and I'm gonna do this entire desk organizer here. Which realistically, when I'm making a YouTube video about this, if I want this video done in less than a month, I just can't do that. So it's gonna take a couple of weeks of printing, that's fine. But the user error, using a ton of filament on something so beautiful and such quality, you know, this is something that you would find maybe at Target or whatever. I was able to make it the exact dimensions of here. Well, I've been using this sort of ruler, the type of one that you like put around your clothes to see if that t-shirt or whatever that you're ordering online is going to fit you right. I've been using this inside of this organizer to get the measurements. And I've redid 2 of these big 6-hour prints. And this first big 6-hour print that I did, I measured wrong. I was like, oh no, it's not gonna fit. I was like, okay, no problem, gonna do it again. The second one doesn't fit. And so now that's like 12 hours. I've used almost the entire roll of the white filament that I have, and they still don't fit, and I'm so confused. And okay, so I put this up next to a tape measure that I found. I used this out of pure laziness because this was just on my desk. This is like 0.5 millimeter off. I don't know if these are different because when you put it around your person, it needs to measure differently. I just thought all measurements were the same no matter what type of material they're on. Did I say 0.5 millimeter? I meant 0.5 centimeter. So no wonder I goofed this. So yeah, I need to power through it because gosh darn it, we're gonna have a very satisfying end result of this video, whether it kills me or not. Whether this video takes me a month or not. But now I am rambling and I have to wait 2 days until new filament gets here. And then we're gonna start this again and it's gonna be so ASMR-y satisfying. Okay, this is the moment of truth. I ran out of white filament, so we used the peach glow-in-the-dark filament. I was gonna wait for more of white to come, but honestly, I just need this done. We've reached the point where, you know, I want things organized. Guys, I'm so nervous. I hopefully properly measured it this time. Can we please get a drum roll? Oh, how satisfying is that? Oh my gosh, and see, I made it a little bit taller too. So it is taller than this one. Oh, that's so satisfying. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna put cables. Wow, good, good, good. I did want it like 1 more millimeter this way, or maybe even 2, but the printing plate is actually not big enough, so this is like the max I could go this way. But oh my God, look how perfect. Now that is satisfying. Honestly, I kind of like the 2 different colors. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm feeling good that we have this computer desk organizer done. I see the end is here near. I can't say words anymore. Basically, that gave me enough energy to now do this last bit that is the hardest. And so going back to the problem that I addressed earlier with the rest of my Husky drawer is the fact that the amount of black space that I have left in this Husky drawer is 35 millimeters, which is, you know, less than the unit, one unit in gridfinity, which is 42 millimeters. So that means I can't just add 1 more square length, right? I have to do some customizing. Taking someone else's design and tweaking it to my liking is still way beyond my realm of expertise in Fusion 360. So this led me to do hours and hours and hours of Googling, of ChatGPT. ChatGPT got close to teaching me how to do this, but honestly, I think there's just so much nuance in the problem that it just did not understand. It can read STL files, so I was literally uploading these 3D files and it could read it, and it actually helped me earlier in this project, but this was too big of a problem. I had to bring a human in. I basically tweeted out to my audience, hey, if you're a 3D expert and you have 1 hour, I just want to Zoom with you, I'll pay you $100, help me. And shout out to Emily, this is Erin from Zolo Tech's daughter. She is a genius and helped me solve this problem. And so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can explain this to you because she made it look so easy. So I'll just let her do the explaining.
So first to start, you're going to go up here to construct an offset plane and click this surface here. And also to make sure we don't get these squares, I'm going to construct another plane, and I kind of have to select the surface up here. I'm doing the like flat surface. So I'm going to say, okay, and now we have separated. And so what I'm going to do now that that's been excluded as a separate thing, what I'm going to do is split the body along this plane first, because if you tried to split the side first, it's going to get like the edge of the squares down there. But if you do the split now that those two are already separate, so we're going to do this main body again, and the splitting tool is this plane. Now it's only splitting this top part here. Since you said 30 millimeters, what I'm going to do is go up here to move and then pick this body, and you can kind of use the arrows or you can use like the numbers. So now it's moved away 35 millimeters. And then what I did from here was I extruded. So I went to this little body that we moved and made sure that I grabbed all the edges. And then this time it's going to be 35 millimeters again. And make sure that this operation says join. So then now we have it just 35 millimeters longer. So what we're going to do is grab all of these, M for move, and then move it up here. There. Does that look good? That placement? Okay. Say okay, and then just copy and paste it and move it over. And then we'll do that again. Make sure the spacing is the same, and then finish the sketch. And like last time, I'm just going to extrude these 3 bottom squares, and we want to make sure it says join again. So this should be all set and ready to go. Does everything make sense?
So we did it, guys. We did it. I spent a couple more days printing. I'm going to show you these final boxes that I have. Here we go. So just these 3 boxes took what feels like a year off of my life, but boy am I proud that we got here. And so here's a normal bin for comparison. So this is just a 3x3 normal gridfinity bin, right? And then this is the new one. As you can tell, it's just a little bit shorter. It's just a little bit shorter. So basically what Emily did is she took a 2x3 bin, sliced it, and then just extruded that out 35 millimeters. And so we did that first without replacing the little blocks here. And so I had to use support with a 3D printer, but when I added the support with a 3D printer, it actually ripped off a lot of the bottom of the box, so that didn't work. So I had to get her help to basically add smaller rectangles here, very similar to the Gridfinity ones. They're not exactly the same, but they're close enough. We just kept a little bit of space in between here. So now it easily kind of locks into the Gridfinity system, but because there's not a grid plate below it, there's still some space in between the bottom of this bin and the bottom of the Husky drawer. And when I would place stuff in it, it would still wobble. We can't have that, you know? But I didn't have to hit up Emily to just print out some rectangles. I think the work I've done in Fusion 360, I had enough confidence to just make a rectangle. It's actually very easy. And boom, there we have it. 2 spacers that I essentially am going to slot in between the grid and the side of my Husky to really just make this perfect. So we got 2 of these custom bins that are essentially 3x3, but you know, a few millimeters shorter. And then this big guy caused some issues. I had to do some reprints, and I still had to kind of like glue the side over here because for some reason the edges weren't doing the best, but you can barely tell. Can you tell? But see on the bottom, it is not fully 6x3. It's essentially 5 and like 3/4 by 3, and so that's what I needed for the dimensions of this one. But honestly, it is so good to get to this point, and I think we both deserve this moment. We deserve the moment of just setting up the camera, just beautifully kind of locking in all these bins. I'm gonna put a little bit of tape in between the drawer and the grid just so it doesn't slide around. Moment of truth. I'm so excited. Okay, let's just relish in this for a moment. I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of you for getting to this point in the video, because I have a feeling that this is gonna kind of be a long video. And you know, if you're just here for the vibes, if you're just here to enjoy, this is the end. Thank you for watching. Like this video. Hit that subscribe button below. And hey, make sure to check out my Squarespace link in the description below. It's time to set up that website. Stop procrastinating. Okay, and so for the people who are left over now, you guys are probably curious about 3D printing and actually want to get into it. Maybe you want to start with Gridfinity, and so I actually put some bullet points here on how I can hopefully help you in your process, some problems that I just ran into. If you use this Gridfinity generator plugin, it's amazing. Shout out to the guy who made it. He's all over Reddit answering questions and stuff. A true awesome human. However, the biggest problem with it is you cannot change the values once they're set. So you press the button to create the bin or the base plate. You set the dimensions. You can change the height of the bin. You can say, hey, I want this to be 5x3 units, right? You're all set up. You export it as an STL file and you send it to your printer. Boom, easy, right? But say you want to go back in Fusion 360 and you want to use your same height settings, but you want to change the dimensions of your bins, kind of like what I did. Instead of a 3x3, you now want a 3x4. So you can't just like double click on that bin and change those settings that you use in the plugin. You literally have to press the bin button again and create it from scratch. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just annoying. So make sure if you're designing, you know, all of these bins to be the same height. So I did 6.5 millimeters and the standard height is 7 millimeters. So if you change anything, just make sure to take a screenshot of those settings so you can remember it for the future bins that you're going to make. I remembered it on most of them, but one of the bins that wasn't the classic 3x3 size that I had to, you know, recreate, I forgot to change that height. So it's 7 millimeters instead of 6.5. And it's not that big of a deal, but I know that it's not the perfect height. And so I know I'm going to have to reprint, you know, take the 6 hours to reprint that thing in the future. future, but at this point I'm kind of like, okay, that's just on my future to-do list. So that's kind of annoying. There's already someone on Reddit that was requesting this from the guy who made the plugin, but I don't think the guy understands that it's a problem. He didn't really even understand the guy on Reddit explaining it to him. And this is a theme that I found. People who are into 3D printing, okay, so many of them are like too smart for their own good. So when it comes to explaining these things or addressing any of the problems, they have like a hard time breaking it down, because in their brain they're just like, well, no, you just do this and you know, they're kind of robotic and then it works, right? Too smart for their own good. Anyways, the base plates. I did the skeletonized versions, which are just like the super hardcore ones, and I started with the magnets. You don't need any of that. You don't really need the magnets. You don't really need the skeletonized base plates. Just go with the light base plates. It's not only going to save you filament, but it's going to save you a ton of time. If you're putting something super heavy or hardcore in your bins or your gridfinity things, or maybe it's like, you know, super tall tools, yes, you'll need the magnets. Maybe you'll need, you know, the skeletonized base plates, but for what I'm doing and for most of the use cases, you don't need it. Okay, next, if you use Bento Box, it's really easy to use. However, a lot of the files will just be broken when you download them. So when you import it into Bamboo Labs, they're just gonna be broken. So I texted Joel about this and he was like, oh yeah, it's super annoying. However, if you don't really understand how to go in and fix it, because there is an automatic button if you have Windows in the Bamboo Lab software to automatically fix it. There's a website that you can go where you just upload the STL. I'll put it on the screen and it just spits out a corrected file. So I had to do that for actually all of the computer organization 3D printed things. The translucent orange looks super cool, but it is a different material. It's that PETG opposed to PLA, which a lot of people use. So if you want that color, go for it. If you want that effect, it's super cool. However, when I print with PLA, it's not only quicker, it is more sturdy and rigid. So honestly, if I did this over again, I would just use the normal kind of orange filament to do it, because it would have been quicker and more sturdy. Okay, last couple of things. Fusion 360, intimidating in the beginning, but because I had experience in Blender, I feel like I had the basics, and now I feel more confident to go into the program and kind of like learn the actual basics, because I only learned what I needed to learn for 3D printing. But I think, you know, as I'm continuing in this 3D printing journey, I do need to get more proficient in it. And so now I feel more confident, like, you know, let's take a beginner's course, or let's kind of like dive into it more. My M1 Pro, MacBook Pro, did struggle. It crashed a few times, and it's just another bullet point on a reason why I need to upgrade my computer. I need to get on that ASAP. And just the last bit, just some encouragement. 3D printing is something where it's so big, it seems so big, that you can kind of get stuck in this cycle of like paralysis by analysis. Watching YouTube videos, of, you know, looking up forums, and it kind of just freezes you, and you're just like, oh my God, how do I even start this? And so just start it. I hope that my video maybe clears some things up, gives you a better starting point, but you just have to start. I spent hours and hours and hours watching content, being kind of confused, but I learned more when I actually made mistakes and when I actually started doing. So you just have to start, okay? Just start. Okay, guys. This was a long one, but this is a fun one. This is one of those videos that took me over a month, and so, you know, it fed my soul. It really did. But now I'm gonna maybe make a few easy videos. No videos are easy. They come directly from my heart, and that's why sometimes, all the time, they're difficult. So if you want to stick around for that journey, hit subscribe. Let me know if you like this video, and check out the Squarespace link down in the description below. Okay, guys, until next time, stay peachy. Okay, bye. Okay, so I can't really stop with stuff. The last thing I'll show you. Maybe I need to make another video. But now I'm getting kind of out of control and in the weeds. I basically bought some of this vinyl car strip tape from Amazon. It was pretty cheap. And so I'm going to replace the shiny chrome handles on this Husky because I just think it looks atrocious. And then I also printed these Husky drawer labels. And it angles it up, because that's my biggest pet peeve. When you're going to like grab something and you look down, you can't really see it if you just use a normal label on the actual handle. Well, this angles it up so I can perfectly see it. I've spent a lot of time this past month just worrying about a Husky toolbox. And it's still not done, but it's close. Okay, this is the real ending of the video. I just had to share the extra stuff. How do you feel about that, Judy? Okay. I feel like you got a lot to say. Floop. Okay. Also, this just finished. This is a guitar knob that I just printed for a friend.